Welcome to Cardinals Cover 2 with Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki. Cardinals Cover 2 is brought to you by Arizona Cardinals Podcasts. Visit azcardinals.com/podcasts. From the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center, here's Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki.
So for those that have lived in the greater Phoenix area for a while now, you can appreciate a day like today. Because as we were outside for day one of OTAs, I had someone bring it up to me, MJ, and I can't remember who it was, but they were absolutely correct. Felt like Flagstaff.
Yeah, the breeze.
70 degrees, partly cloudy, and here we are, May 20th.
I love it.
15 plus degrees cooler than expected.
Yeah, and over the weekend it was very similar. It's nice and breezy. Turn my AC off.
Exactly. Can open up the windows, the doors.
Yeah, the only problem with that is you get a lot of dust in.
Okay.
That's the drawback, but hey, I'm not looking forward to I don't mind 108 to 110 when it's like 115 for
But if you're standing outside watching practice, yes.
Yes.
If we can have more days like this in June.
Yeah, that's wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's.
Now, I went out to the Superior, Arizona. I went to this place that has trails, right?
Okay. You did a little hiking over the weekend?
I wouldn't say hiking, but I was on the trails.
Walking?
No.
Strolling?
No, more like fast walking.
Okay.
Because the dog was carrying me. He did the entire 4.5 miles.
You're being dragged around.
But you know what I was able to see, and I growing up in upstate New York, I would always look for this early, like in March or April. Usually you'd see a blue jay or a cardinal. I saw a couple cardinals there.
Oh, good sign, huh?
Cardinals, yes, we do have birds in Arizona. People are like, no way. And I think I see the mother and the siblings. Yeah, there was a crew of cardinals, and I thought that's good luck.
Look at you getting one with nature.
I actually got the picture. We should post it at some point.
There we go, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see any Panthers?
I didn't see any Panthers. I saw
that's Superior High School is nicknamed the Panthers.
I got you. Thank you.
So used to play there.
See, you used to bail me out when it comes to high school football stuff.
Yeah, that one's
we went over your head.
We never got to that. We never got to as far as Superior. Never quite to make it.
It's it's all freeway. 55 miles took me 51 minutes, and I wasn't going that fast.
Well, you had to clarify that though.
Yeah,
why did you have to throw that in
there? If
there?
you go 60 miles an hour, you can make it in 60 minutes, 60 miles. So I was probably doing 60 or 72. I never go over the speed limit.
Look at you. Goody two-shoes over here.
No. I just don't want to get that.
MJ doesn't want to get in trouble here on a Monday.
No, I just.
How do you segue from this, Craig?
No, I'm just saying. But to me, I was excited. I didn't see any blue jays, but I did see a beautiful bird.
Okay.
I'm going to get you the picture.
All right. Okay, wait for that. While you're working on that, how about we start the show?
Let's do it.
All right, let's take off here on this Monday. Tell you what's ahead on this Monday edition of Cardinals Cover 2. The Cardinals appear to be a healthy bunch, and that's good news when it comes to the offensive line. We'll hear from Robert Alford and Byron Murphy. Their roles are expected to increase in light of the Patrick Peterson suspension. We get to know Murphy off the field. Speaking of off the field, how Kyler Murray, Andy Isabella, and Hakeem Butler spent their weekend. And, of course, your questions via social media using the hashtag CardsCover2. Hashtag CardsCover2 using the number 2 to get involved in the show. That coming your way in just a little bit. But first, the news of the day. And that's right, today was day one of OTA's organized team activities. This is phase 3 of the offseason strength and conditioning program. So finally, the Cardinals can go offense versus defense and 7-on-7, 7-on-9, 11-on-11, any combination of that. But still, no contact is allowed. But you've got 90 players now on the field as the rookies and veterans together. They were together last week, but that was phase 2. This week is phase 3, today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. But a good first start as far as OTAs for the head coach, Cliff Kingsbury.
It was good to kind of combine the groups and see them all move around together. And anytime you get your whole team out there practicing football, it's exciting for the coaching staff.
This is something that Kingsbury has been waiting for patiently, and I stress the word patiently, since he was hired, because he had to go through almost 3 months of no players, not even in the building. And now he's actually had them on the field for a second straight week, but now been able to do just a little bit more. We were out there earlier this morning. It was actually late in the morning. Again, it's a beautiful day here on a Monday late morning in Tempe, but didn't see quite too much media available for the first 20 minutes, so you saw a team stretch and then the individual position drills as well. But good to see everyone doing football activities.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this just, based on the questions that obviously Kingsbury has to ask. Now, I would say, he gives you short answers because obviously they're still trying to figure out. He knows what they're going to do, but they're still installing.
He has an idea.
He has an idea, right? But it's going to be based on personnel. Obviously, who are you confident in that can run this? I think he's confident in Murray. So everyone's asking him, but I can tell you this, just talking to players and just watching him. Today we were allowed to watch the entire practice. Obviously, we can't discuss what happened after the first 20 minutes, but his interaction with the players is totally different his interaction with the media.
You're talking about Kingsbury?
Yes. I mean, to a T. Like, he obviously spends a lot of time with the quarterbacks, and that's his background, and obviously, they put their eggs in one basket on Murray, so I understand that. But just him talking to players, players told me a player's coach, a pro's pro. We know what we're going to do every day in practice. I'm sure every team has a schedule, but sometimes you go off script because you're trying to correct something or mental errors. But he's much different with the players than you see in a press conference setting.
Well, yeah, and then the interaction between he and the players is a trickle-down, and we talked about this on Friday, his assistant coaches.
Yes.
I mean, they're right in the middle of it, every single one.
David Rye's like he's a defensive back when they're running some of their – during the open portion of practice when they're running some of their, quick slant passes. Rye's actually a DB, making sure you get enough depth on their route running. And then, of course, we all know about Jerry Sullivan, who's here to help out, a consultant, assistant coach right now. So from that standpoint, you can see the coaching is going on there.
Absolutely. So still a work in progress as far as what this offense and even what this defense is going to look like. Now, remember, phase 3, we are still, no matter what phase you are in, phase 1, 2, or 3, it is still voluntary. The mandatory minicamp will come up in June. So there were players that were not in attendance, a handful of them, mostly veterans, Larry Fitzgerald, David Johnson, Patrick Peterson, Terrell Suggs, not on the practice field. Kingsbury was asked about their absences.
It's voluntary, and we understand that. And so if guys miss, we have a plan to get them caught up.
And that's important. He also added the fact that there has been, in his words, quote, great communication, unquote, regarding the players and letting the coaching staff or letting someone know, hey, you know what, I can't make it for whatever reason. Maybe they'll be back on Tuesday or Wednesday, but let's not make too big a deal out of who is not here. We knew late last week that Peterson, when he spoke at his charity function, kind of hinted that he was not going to be here. Now, whether he shows up later this week or next week, who knows? But it is voluntary. You'd like to see them here, but it is voluntary.
Yeah, I mean, and when I mentioned this name, I know he's got 6 rings. I mean, Tom Brady's not going to OTAs. He didn't go last year. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, one of the star cornerbacks in Jacksonville, he's not going there. I mean, some guys are working on their own. I get it. You'd like to see everyone here, but it is voluntary. And, Larry Fitzgerald, I'm sure he's got some other stuff going on. T-Sizzle's 37 years old. I don't freak out on things in May, okay? If you start missing time in August and going to the season, then there's reason for concern. The Rams, I just follow their Twitter account, and 4 guys did not show up today. Todd Gurley, Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, and Dante Fowler. Now, if you're Gurley and what happened last year, I'm sure he's not going to do anything this offseason with that knee, and they're obviously going to have to make sure he has the energy and the oomph in the running game when he gets to November and December, in this case January for the Rams. So you're going to see it around the league. Odell Beckham showed up maybe the second day. Jarvis Landry hasn't shown up a couple days. So the reason why we're talking about it is because these are named players that have put the work in, and it's not going to be a perfect attendance. And we're going to get to a point where Kingsbury's going to say, I'm only talking about the guys that are here. The guys that are not here, we've been communicating with them. We know what's going on. And I believe, and I've talked to Patrick. I haven't come out and asked him, but I do think he'll be here for the mandatory minicamp. I think, first of all, it's not voluntary. You can get fined up to $80,000, and I know we're talking a millionaire here, but I think it's important that he gets here for that because he is going to be able to help the young guys out, and curious to see if he becomes a player coach in training camp.
And again, this is not a situation that the Cardinals are the only team that experiences, as
Correct.
you just noted, MJ. But what it does do, if you're not here, then, of course, someone else fills that role.
Opportunity.
And if you're Larry Fitzgerald, well, that opens up someone in the wide receiver room to get some more reps. David Johnson, all of a sudden another running back gets an opportunity, and you have to make sure that you utilize those reps, because when everyone is here, then all of a sudden maybe you've surprised someone to maintain that level of reps, or you kind of slide back to where you were at the beginning.
Yeah, and one thing you can't get is, previous coaching staff, sometimes the third and fourth string guys would get 5 to 8 reps. And then, Bruce Arians came in here and he learned from Paul Bear Bryant. Nick Saban does it at Alabama, where they put 45 guys on one field, first and second string, and then they put 45 guys on the second field, third and fourth string, and you can graduate. And so everyone's getting reps. Now, Kingsbury's schedule's a little bit different. Sometimes they go in the bubble with the rookies. Sometimes it's just offense practicing. Sometimes it's defense practicing. And, again, they're continuing to install their offense, and that will go to training camp. So the guys that are here, they're going to learn. The good news is you got some veteran guys that are obviously ahead of the curve when it comes to the scheme and system they're going to run.
And more important than all of that, because I think a lot of us get caught up on who isn't here, how about who was here and actually on the field? Remember, the Cardinals ended 2018 with 18 players on, or no, not about 18. They had double digit, I believe it was like 15 or 16 guys ended last year on injured reserve, including 7 offensive linemen. A number of those players, though, on the field doing some kind of work, whether it was team stretch or going through position drills, and a lot of them were offensive linemen. DJ Humphries, Justin Pugh, A.Q. Shipley, all on the field in some aspect. Marcus Gilbert, who the Cardinals acquired from the Steelers, he ended last season on IR. He was back on the field. So, and just those 4 names could be 4/5 of your projected starting offensive line. I know you believe Mason Cole might be that starting center, but just good to see some familiar faces back on the field that we were missing late last year.
Yeah, and even Corey Cunningham. I mean, he got hurt towards the end of the year. And again, if they keep 9 or 10, I do think, you look at the Georgia pick, from a standpoint of they're going to work him at guard. I think he's got a chance to make the roster. Kobe Cassette, he's got a chance to make the roster, but I think that we'll let competition play out, because I think Shipley's worthy of getting a chance to start. But Mason Cole's the future. I don't know if Shipley's going to be on the roster in the next couple of years, but Sean Kugler is going to play the best 5 guys. So you got your 5 starters, and then you have Marcus Garcia, who's still rehabbing. Hopefully he's ready for training camp, coming off an ACL in Denver last year. And then we talked about Shipley. If he doesn't start, Mason Cole's your backup there. And then Corey Cunningham. So I could see them keeping 9 or 10. The main thing is Humphries is healthy. There's no setbacks. Maybe they'll take it easy on him a little bit, a couple days in training camp. Sweezy, he wants to practice. Pugh needs to stay healthy. We know Mason Cole played over 1,000 snaps last year. Marcus Gilbert looks like he's fitting in with this offensive line, obviously, because he's worked with Sean Kugler in the past. So maybe we haven't focused on the offensive line. I think a lot of people were concerned they didn't address it early in the draft, but it seems like on paper they just don't want to play young guys. Now, when I say that, Mason Cole's in his second year, I should say they don't want to play rookies right away.
You bring up Humphries. Let's hear from the Cardinals starting left tackle. All smiles in that locker room to see all his teammates back together again.
It's fun to see everybody, all the new additions, Sweezy and Marcus in there, and even my guy Max coming in. It's fun to look down the line and see all the guys that's here and know what we can do as a group. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a fun year.
By the way, Humphries looks phenomenal. He weighs, and this was talking with him, he said he weighs 305 pounds, which sounds like a lot, but it is redistributed on his body, and he looks very, very – he even bulked up. He's like, yeah, I look good, don't I?
He swelled up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they need him. I mean, nobody's ever questioned his toughness. I think he could be one of the top 15 tackles in the NFL when it comes to a rush game. He's got to improve in pass protection, and I think with the new coach, a new set of eyes, maybe different technique, whether they're on a power scheme or a zone scheme, it's a big year for him. He's got to stay healthy, but they're counting on him.
He credited Pilates for a lot of his offseason
Well,
work and
that's
how
more-
well he looks like.
And we know that Chandler Jones has done yoga and Pilates. To me, you're finding different muscles in your body where flexibility is huge. And playing that position, it wouldn't surprise me if we see both the tackle and guards pull in this system. And we haven't seen that probably since healthy Jared Valdir and Mike Upati. So you got to be flexible. And I think by doing that, he's figuring out different muscles in his body where he's not making it tough on his back or his knees.
Kingsbury didn't have any specific updates as far as those injured offensive linemen, but he was pleased to see them on the field.
On schedule is the best I can give you. I like what we're seeing. They've been able to do some stuff that's allowed them to be locked in and keep up with the installs.
So you brought up Corey Cunningham. Jeremy Vunovich was also working out. Christian Kirk is on the field. A couple of guys still working out, though, on the side. DJ Foster, Robert Kimdichie. They are coming off of ACL injuries, but at least they're on the field doing something and hopefully to progress at some point to where, come training camp, you're actually along with your teammates going 11 on 11.
Yeah, I think it's important for Foster to get back and know he's doing everything in his power. And sometimes you just want to – you don't want to have any setbacks. So sometimes instead of getting 15 to 20 reps, maybe he gets 7 to 10. But obviously he's fighting for a roster spot. And then you look at some other positions. But I think Foster's will come back sooner just based on his injury last year versus Kimdichie's. I mean, if the Cardinals can get anything out of Kimdichie, it's going to be a plus this year. I'm not saying they're not counting on him because we don't know when he's going to be available. Does he start training camp on PUP, which means nothing? You start PUP during the season, now you're out 6 weeks. They got 2 weeks to practice. But anything he can give them this year, they need it from a rotation standpoint.
Absolutely. It is a Monday edition of Cardinals Cover 2 here from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center and broadcasting in our Bose QC35s. Go to Bose.com for more information. And a reminder, if you ever miss a show, you can download as a podcast via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play Music, TuneIn, and SoundCloud. And don't forget, all of your favorite Cardinals podcasts can be found at one location, azcardinals.com/podcasts. Of course, last week, the big news, late last week, was the news that Patrick Peterson was being suspended 6 games. He'll miss the first third of the season because PED use. Now the question becomes what happens next. Well, first, we needed the reaction from the head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, on the fact that he is going to be without his number one corner.
It's disappointing, obviously, but you deal with adversity as a team, and we all support Pat, know what type of player he is and person he is, and we'll be really excited to get him back. We'll see how it all plays out, through training camp and what adjustments will be made, but you don't replace a guy like that, obviously. But, on the bright side, you get to week 7 and he comes back, that's a huge boost.
Certainly does help to have him on the field. It is going to be a huge loss with him not being on the field, and all the players in the locker room that spoke here earlier today all voiced their support. Yeah, there's some disappointment. That's to be expected, but all voice their support and are going to be there for Peterson if he's needed. And one of those guys that did speak is one of his newer teammates, Robert Alford.
Pat was a number one corner in this league for over a number of years, and we all can learn a finger or two from him. I'm pretty sure we still gonna be keeping in contact during the season. He's gonna help us out the way that he can. And at the end of the day, we just gotta go out there. We gotta execute on Sundays a game plan that the coaches put together and come away with wins.
Alford was one of the first signings this offseason by the Cardinals, and we had thought that question that has been asked for a number of years now, MJ, as far as who lines up opposite Patrick Peterson, the answer was going to be Robert Alford. Well, now there's a different question. Who lines up opposite Robert Alford?
Well, I think it's going to be competition. I mean, I don't know if we're talking about David Amerson enough. I mean, he's started 61 games in his career. He's 74. He's played in 74 games. I got a chance to talk to him today. I mean, I'm 6 feet. He's like 6'1", long arms. I love length at a corner position, especially the way some of these, Hakeem Butlers and these big physical receivers are out there. I'm just mentioning guys that he's going to go against. So I think Amerson has a chance. It's not like he's a second-year guy that hasn't had a chance to play. He's bounced around. Dietrich Nichols is in there. You obviously got to put Byron Murphy in there. So I think competition's good. Now, we know the Cardinals are going to play a lot of 3 corners this year, so you got to think Alford. I think it's open competition over there. If I had to say, a guy that may be the leader, but that changes daily. They may give him first-team reps one day and then first-team reps to somebody else. And then Tremaine Brock, I mean, a nice signing at the time because he does have experience in Vance Joseph's defense. He's been a journeyman, however, had a nice career in San Francisco and then was in Minnesota for a year. He can play in the slot, and he's a veteran guy. So be curious to see how they do it. But you at least got 4 guys, maybe 5 if you include Nicholas in there. But we know right now Robert Alford is going to be the day one starter. He normally lines up on the left side. I wonder if they'll move him to the right side with the right-handed quarterback and then figure out where a role for Murphy. What I would prefer him to be in the inside so you can hide him a little bit and get some veteran guys on the outside, whether it's Emerson, in this case Alford.
Well, and allows Murphy to kind of slow play it a little bit as far as learning the defense and in learning what it takes to be a pro. You don't have to thrust too much on him right away. Of course, if you see that he is certainly learning it and then performing it on the field, then you can increase his role and maybe give him even more.
Yeah, second-round picks are active on game day, so he'll have a role, and he's also going to play on special teams. So, when you draft a guy at 33rd overall, he's going to be active on game day. Now, you just don't want to throw him in there. We know that he's been well-coached in college, coming out of Washington, Jimmy Lake. We've talked about him at length. Look how many guys he puts in the NFL. So he's been well coached in college. They kind of run a pro-style defense, but he is a rookie at this level. I'm sure his head's spinning a little bit right now, but at the same time, they're not going to put him in a position where he's going to fail. They want him to succeed. It just may not take the first couple of weeks of the season. Maybe we see him make strides in October or November, but clearly when you're a second-round pick, you're going to have to be active on game day.
Bottom line, the Cardinals do have options, and Alford talked about that next man up mentality.
We support him. Pat is a close friend of mine. At the end of the day, that's the league's rules, and it's the next man up in this organization.
And, of course, Alford is that next man up, or at least being that guy that all of a sudden the spotlight has been thrust upon him. It was kind of funny. This was the first opportunity, and we had a chance to talk with him immediately or close after he was signed, but this was the first opportunity that the rest of the media got a chance to talk with him. And, yeah, people made a beeline over to him because of the fact that, well, Peterson's not here, not around, and he's not going to be around come the regular season. And you're looking at who's stepping up, and you're going from number 2. Now you are the guy.
Yeah, and he was going to get targeted already. So now he's going to get more targets, and I'm sure guys are, they're looking at their chops because that's more opportunities. And again, we would love to see interceptions, but pass breakups on third down, breaking up a 50-50 ball down the field on a splash play. So, yeah, but he's the number 1 corner right now until Patrick comes back, and I think he's up for the challenge. This guy played through a high ankle sprain last year because he felt like his team needed him. This guy his work ethic. Obviously, he's close to Patrick, so there's some relationship there. So good. I'm expecting big things from him, but it's going to take some time because maybe he doesn't get as many targets. Maybe you target the other guy just because we don't have a lot of – I wouldn't say Emerson, there's film on there at him, but Murphy is a young guy, and I just don't think they're going to throw him in the mix like that.
No, and Alford is going to be asked to do a lot, and one of those extra duties perhaps, and he might have done it anyway, but without Peterson there in that locker room, he's got to be a little bit more of a mentor to a guy like a Byron Murphy and those other young cornerbacks in that locker room. He talked about that earlier today.
It's just to take it one day at a time. Don't try to overwhelm yourself and just try to lean towards the future. Try to stay in the now and go out there and grind and just know that it's a blessing. It's a whole bunch of us a whole bunch of people that's around the world that wish they could have been in our shoes. So, just take it one day at a time and just don't overwhelm yourself.
He brought up a couple of names, a couple of former players, or not former players, but players that helped him out when he was a rookie, and now you see that. Not everyone does it, but if someone when you were a rookie reaches out, then all of a sudden when you're in that position, when you're 5-6 years into the league, or even a couple of years, and now all of a sudden you need to pay it forward and do what that guy did for you to the next guy.
Yeah, good word, pay forward, because that's like you said, if somebody helped you early in your career, and I try to talk to every single rookie, telling them, hey, next year when you walk in here, it's going to be night and day. You know what it's like to be a pro. You know what the daily schedule is, and you see big jumps from year 1 to 2, and sometimes it takes from year 2 to 3 for the light bulb to go off. But yeah, It's great to have other guys that have helped you as a younger player. I know the quarterbacks can kind of be territorial. I know the whole Joe Flacco situation, and they brought Joe Flacco in. When it comes to the backup quarterback, that's what coaching's for. So some guys are willing to do it. I don't think Larry's going to go out of his way, but if you have a question, he's going to be able to answer it for you. But he's not a rah-rah guy. But you'd be dumb if you didn't ask him. You should be a sponge in all those meetings.
Well, just be approachable.
Yes.
I mean, and if you're not going to go out of your way to, hey, Rook, come over here, at least be open. Don't give that vibe that you're closed or whatever. You're always pointing your face within the locker and you don't want to be bothered. Open yourself up to everyone to say, if you've got a question, just bring it, and I'll do my best to help you.
Yeah, and I think that's going to help on the offensive line with guys like J.R. Sweezy and Marcus Gilbert. Why wouldn't you tap into their knowledge? Justin Pugh, he's been around, even though he's been banged up, but at the same time, he's played in different systems, so he can help. Yeah, I mean, and I think Sean Kugler's going to do a really good job with the offensive line. I think he's one of the underrated hires in the offseason. We can make a list. Obviously, certain positions call for certain guys, and I think Vance Joseph's a good hire, and the fact that they kept Jeff Rogers. So I'm not concerned with the coaching staff and the teaching aspect. It's just going to take time because these guys are learning a brand new system, especially on offense.
And Byron Murphy is ready to learn the number 33 overall pick, the second-round selection, local product, and he talked about now just learning and competing to try to be that number 2 cornerback.
My role is going to stay the same. I came here to show the coaches what I can do, and like I said, we're here supporting him. Whenever my role, whatever role it is, I'm going to just keep going 100%, keep learning. I want to get on the field right away. Whenever I come in, I'm ready to work and just keep it going, getting better and better each day, keep learning.
He's got guys ahead of him. I mean, now all of a sudden you've got to work your way up. I mean, nothing's going to be handed to these rookies, and unless you're the quarterback, Kyler Murray, where you're expected to be the week 1 starter. But there are certain guys that have earned the right to be given that first opportunity, and if they succeed, then great. If not, then who is the next one in line? And Murphy might have to wait his turn a little bit, but he will be given an opportunity because I think these guys will, as you mentioned, they'll be rotated out throughout this offseason into training camp to see who gives them the best best ability to win without Peterson and wait until that week 7.
Yeah, and it could be just the chemistry and the communication from those 3 guys. Obviously,
Yeah, maybe not the most talented, but who works together.
And all 11 on the same page, because Swearinger is a guy that can get guys lined up. Jordan Hicks is going to be the signal caller. So, yeah, listen, he's going to be part of the future. I mean, a big part of the future. Patrick's under contract a couple more years. He's a shutdown corner. He can play a little off man. He can play man-to-man press. I like what he's saying, though. Nothing's going to be given to me. I have to come out here and work every day. And again, at the end of the day, Vance Joseph is going to put the best 11 players on the field.
And he's got great coaching. Vance Joseph, Marcus Robertson,
Billy Davis.
There's a number
Chris
of guys.
Akoff.
Yeah, all sitting there right there, getting it, not afraid to get in your face, but also put an arm around you and say, this is what we expect out of you, regardless if you're a Byron Murphy and a second-round pick or someone who came in off the street as a free agent. Take advantage of your opportunity.
Yeah, and like I said, we always focus on first and second and third round picks, and rightfully so, because these guys got to pan out over the next 3 or 4 years. But I'm telling you, when you get here, they couldn't care less. Now, obviously, they scouted these players, had high grades on them, so they're expecting these guys to contribute. But I wouldn't get comfortable. I don't care what round you were drafted. Obviously, the future's in Kyler Murray's hands, and he handles everything with class and confidence. He's not cocky at all. And I know we're going to talk about this all week, but just listening to veteran players today, they were thrilled what Murray's shown them in just 2 weeks.
He made a huge impression on those veterans, and we'll get into it, as you mentioned, a little bit later. But that was the one thing when you talk to offensive linemen, they were really impressed by not what he did or what he said, but just how he carried himself and not coming in with, hey, I'm Kyler Murray, the number 1 overall pick.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, he's got this long resume, but trying to be just one of the guys and fit in.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the first things they look for is command of the huddle, the cadence, splitting the play out. I mean, all that's important because what he is going to try to accomplish, that he needs the protection up front. So, I mean, it makes total sense that, and Justin Pugh admitted it, playing in New York and in Arizona last year, he's never played with a mobile quarterback. Now you go 2 spots over, J.R. Sweezy played with a mobile quarterback in Russell Wilson, so I'm sure that can help because what you don't want to do is, a lot of people think if they go 3 and out, it's going to put a premium on the defense. The fact is that when you're running this system, I mean, the offensive line, they're going to run the football. I think people are thinking they're going to throw it 70% of the time. They're going to run the football, and that's where those guys are going to earn their money. And if Kyle Murray can get this offense going and get rid of it less than 2-5 seconds, it's going to make their job a lot easier.
Well, Marcus Gilbert called the offense an offensive lineman stream. I mean, just the way they're.
Well, you don't have to block for 5 to 7 set drops.
It's quick.
Yeah, it's quick.
Immediate.
And again, you can maul the guy in front of you, which means one-on-one matchups, or you can go with a power scheme and then you double up on a guy so you clear him out of the way. I think this offense, and I like the fact that they're going with veteran guys. I'm not against rookies. If you earn a spot, I trust the coaching staff. They know. I know 1% of what they know. So they're going to put the best 5 out there. But I'm encouraged that we're talking about veteran players and guys that can come in and play right away if something happens. Corey Cunningham, A.Q. Shipley, and Max Garcia when healthy.
And DJ Humphries, guys are healthy right now and were on the field earlier today. That's important.
Yeah, and again, usually when you get to off-season workouts, anybody that's coming off surgery, whether it happened in week 12, 17, week 3, they're always cautious with these guys because, yes, they want to be there, but they're not going to go out of their way to make sure you're in game shape in May. That will happen as the offseason progresses.
Let's go back to Byron Murphy and the Cardinals making him their second-round choice, the first overall pick in round 2. Let's get to learn more about Byron Murphy as, here's Lisa Matthews.
What's up, everyone? I'm here with Byron Murphy, hometown kid, back here in the Valley. We're excited to have you back.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to play a little game to get to know you a little better, okay? Yeah. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I win. Do you have any nicknames?
So, BJ, Byron Jr., and that's pretty much it, yeah.
I win again. Favorite moment in a football game?
I'm going to have to go with the Pac-12 championship. Got a pick 6. It was my first time in the career, and it also was a game-winning touchdown.
Okay, you win. You win this one.
Okay, favorite emoji. Favorite emoji's got to be this sign.
You overuse that one.
Yep, I'm always doing it. It's just my sign. It's just my sign. It's just my sign.
You win again.
Who's the GOAT? Michael, Kobe, or LeBron? Ooh.
This is tough. I'm going to judge you on this.
Let me just about start by saying that. So Michael, obviously, best player I think over time, always. But I've never seen him play in person, so I can't really go off that. I've only seen highlights, so I'm gonna have to go with LeBron.
3. I win. All right, biggest fear or phobia?
Snakes.
And you're from the desert,
I
so.
hate snakes. Yeah, that's my fear.
No.
I don't like snakes. I won. Jordans or Yeezys? Gotta be Yeezys.
Okay.
Gotta be Yeezys. Yep.
Name 3 traits that best describe yourself.
I'll probably say 1, passion, heart, just a positive mindset, knowing why I'm out there, doing it for my family, that type of thing.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you on the field this week.
Get it. I'm ready.
Good stuff there from Lisa Matthews as we continue here from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center, broadcasting on this Monday afternoon in our Bose QC35s. Go to Bose.com for more information. And, of course, if you ever miss a show here, you can download it as a podcast via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Music, TuneIn, SoundCloud, basically a number of different options out there for you. And, of course, don't forget all of your favorite Cardinals podcasts can be found at one location at azcardinals.com/podcast. All right, before we hear from the Bird Gang, we talked about this at the top of the show, but 3 of the Cardinals rookies, Kyler Murray, Andy Isabella, and Hakeem Butler, they spent their weekend or part of late last week in Los Angeles as part of the 25th annual NFL Players Association Rookie Premiere, a chance to learn the business of football and jumpstart their endorsement careers. According to the press release, there were a number of the association's business partners represented as well. There were 40 players invited. The Cardinals had 3 of them, which says a lot. And, of course, when you have 11 draft picks, that means something. But the Cardinals had 3 of them. Some guys that you would expect to be invited were not, but the Cardinals certainly fortunate to have Murray, Isabella, and Butler there. And part of the weekend included the unveiling of each rookie's official jersey. And then Saturday was an all-day action and photo shoot, including their first trading cards, which is presented by Panini America. And both Murray, Isabella, and Butler tweeted out their pictures over the weekend. I caught some of it on Saturday and then some of it on Sunday. But excited to see those guys, and, of course, a big day for them when you get that trading card.
And we can officially say they are going to wear those numbers.
Yes.
Now, as for the New England Patriots.
Don't change.
Yeah. No, they're not. For the New England Patriots, they sent 3 guys there, and they are like wearing 1, 2, and 3 because Belichick doesn't give out numbers until the preseason. So when you're watching their practices, unless you know the player's size, he kind of plays tricks with the media. So N'Keal Harry did wear number 1 at ASU. All the pictures you see right now, but he will not be wearing number 1 when the season gets here. We know for a fact all 3 of those guys are wearing those numbers.
So they need to do a photo shoot over?
No,
redo?
And Belichick couldn't care about this. He's winning championships, so I get that. It's his timing-wise, but it's your first football card. And I love the way the setup is. I mean, those cards are sharp.
Oh, very well done.
Really. And so, and just the card process from Topps and all the progress that he's made. But your first football card, people are going to look back and go, you never wore number 1 in the NFL.
So it becomes a collector's item.
Yeah, of course. Kyler Murray was everywhere this weekend.
We need those cards, by the way.
I'm sure you can purchase them. It's not the answer.
Exactly, that was not the answer I was looking for.
Well, you got to figure it out. Maybe you go to a card show. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to. There's going to be opportunities for you to somehow get your hands on them. Whether you purchase them or not, it's another story.
Yeah, but a big weekend though for those 3 players, and of course it's not all fun and games, but it helps to learn the business of football, and that is something that the entire NFL tries to do with these rookies. And here's the all 40 players, the team photo, if you will, the bottom far left, Hakeem Butler next to Andy Isabella. And, you can see the height difference between Butler and Isabella, and then Kyler Murray to the far right, the first spot, front row.
Listen, we all know the league loves scoring, right? They love fantasy, and obviously if you're someone that does it for entertainment purposes, only 1 defensive player was invited.
Yeah, that I find it hard to believe.
Nick Bosa. What's wrong with Quentin Williams?
Well, Byron Murphy was a second-round pick.
I know.
Yeah, I don't. I was not
Chicks
part of
dig offense.
I'm not part of the selection process.
Yeah,
but
I guess
interesting
2 in this case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talented players that were drafted in the first 3 rounds. I don't know how they pick it. I'm sure it's popularity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't Quentin Williams be there? This guy's he's got personality. He's playing in the New York market. I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason, but I do think it's more about fantasy football. I do.
Hey, if you notice on that picture again, if we put that up on the screen, see Kyler Murray's helmet is in the row right behind him. He's the only guy there. So they must have taken a cue from Game of Thrones by leaving that Starbucks thing. And oddly enough, there was a water bottle in the season finale or the series finale.
Man,
well, I read that. I didn't see it because I don't watch the show.
That's the Game of Thrones effect on that picture.
Now we needed someone to circle that because I've looked at that picture probably 15 times and I did not notice it. This guy. Observations.
The one thing though that you can notice is just the tremendous height difference between Butler and Isabella.
Hey, they're 2 different animals. One's like a cheetah and one's like I wouldn't say a giraffe because he's faster. One's big and the other one's a slot guy. And he can play also on the outside.
6'5" and 5'9".
Yeah, it looked like it.
It certainly did. All right, without further ado, how about we hear from the Bird Gang on this Monday? Your questions via social media using the hashtag #CardsCover2, hashtag #CardsCover2 using the number 2 to get involved and the show. Let's begin with Twitter. User wants to know, well, something we talked about at the top of the show. Why are some of these top veterans staying away from OTAs? I know it's voluntary, but I would have thought that with the new coaching staff, they would have wanted to get a head start.
Well, I mean, strength and conditioning program started in March. I mean, that's really basically you're in the building, and a lot of guys participate in that. It's just when we get to these OTAs, they're voluntary, and so a lot of guys are working out on their own. I'm sure you prefer to have 100% attendance. That's not going to happen. I mean, you got big names sitting out. We talked about the Rams earlier. No Todd Gurley today. No Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, Dante Fowler. Those are 4 starters. I mean, it's going to happen. The main thing is you want to make sure they're there for the mandatory minicamp.
Of course, and then training camp
Definitely.
as well. One more from Twitter. User wants to know, could the Cardinals still go after a defensive tackle this offseason?
They're always looking. Cap-wise, they're not going to go out and spend $9 million for a guy like Sue, but they're always looking. I think that Zach Allen has really solidified somewhat of the rotation. You look at right now the starters, Darius Philon, Corey Peters, then you throw in Rodney Gunter, Zach Allen, Valentine. So they got some bodies there, and then hopefully Robert Nkemdiche. But if there's a guy out there, they will definitely consider it.
Certainly for depth purposes
Yes.
at this point, because I think they know what they would hope their rotation looks like right now. And you've always maintained because it's a 3-4, you don't need as many.
Right. I would anticipate they could keep 7, obviously 6 active on game day. You could put 1 on the practice squad. You don't need 9 like they did when they were playing a 4-3.
Let's move to Instagram as we continue here from the Bird Gang on this Monday using the hashtag CardsCover2. User wants to know, how is Kyler Murray doing so far in camp?
I mean, we only watch a portion of practice.
He throws a nice ball.
And he's got a quick release. But talking to veteran players, cool, calm, and collective, I think he's earned their trust. I know it's only 2 weeks, but this is not too big for him. He's played in big games in college, and so I'm sure it's a learning experience for him, but when he gets in that huddle, he's commanding the huddle, and that's very important.
He continues to stretch like a madman. I've never seen stretching like that before. 20 minutes, all we see is
the spiral, the football, the tight spiral. I mean, that's basically what we're going off of right now.
Yeah.
Until training camp.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, he did. I'll add this note, too. Justin Pugh was talking about Murray and the locker room, and the quickest way to an offensive lineman's heart, through his stomach. Murray brought food day 1.
Last week.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you get
donuts, breakfast sandwiches.
If he throws for 4,000 yards and throws for 30 touchdowns, he's going to have to buy these guys Rolexes. At least he knows the first day without even meeting them. What was it, 6 dozen of donuts?
Yeah, something enough.
And they
but
ran
apparently
out.
Not enough. The one issue Pugh had, not enough glazed donuts.
Right, I get that. And then he also brought in some sandwiches, some breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah.
And you know the last thing he brought in? Milk.
Okay.
They have plenty of milk here, but he was thinking ahead.
I like it.
Not coffee, milk.
I didn't get anything.
No, you weren't in the locker room, nor do you deserve anything in the locker room, like me.
All right, let's continue here. Instagram user, how much do you expect our offense to run from the shotgun?
I don't know. I mean, today they're asking Cliff. I don't know if a team has ever run 80% in the shotgun.
Kingsbury mentioned the Chiefs last year ran it more than 80% of the time.
Right. So it's just a guess. 94%. I don't know. I mean, clearly a lot. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be 100%, and they're not going to throw the ball 65 times a game. Let's make that very clear. But they're going to be in the gun a lot, just based on RPOs and his ability to escape the pocket and make throws on the run.
All right, speaking of Kingsbury, user wants to know what's going to be his biggest challenge as a head coach at the NFL level.
I'm just going against these NFL defenses. Now, these receivers, there's tight windows to throw in. These DBs can jump the routes. Not saying he's throwing the ball. I just think it's getting acclimated to some of these veteran defensive coordinators, where they're going to have to go back at least for the first month of the season to watch Texas Tech film and Oklahoma film. Obviously, Murray played there. So I think it's just every week is going to be different. You're going to go against a 3-4, 4-3. You're going to have a shutdown corner. You're going to have a guy that can blitz off the edge. So I think it's going to vary week to week, but it's getting acclimated to what the NFL defenses are doing. And I think we learned something in the Super Bowl when it was Bill Belichick and Sean McVay.
Yeah, McVay admitted that he kind of watched too much film going into that ball game, trying to be on par with Belichick, and that's just hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, give Wade Phillips credit, and it's not like Tom Brady was lighting it up, but I just think like there's going to be defensive coordinators that say we're going to shut this down. Now, watch the Chiefs, watch the Rams, watch the Bears. It's easier said than done.
All right, last question on Bird Gang Sound Off here. Instagram user, which free agent signing will have the biggest impact on the Cardinals?
Well, I would hope it's Robert Alford, Jordan Hicks, just because they gave those guys 3-year deals. I mean, I think T. Sizzle's going to come in here. I think Kevin White's a dark horse, just from a standpoint of high draft pick, had some injuries. I don't know if a guy's learned more from Jerry Sullivan. I hope all of them have. But I would say Kevin White's a dark horse, and I think he can make this team. He's a perfect X receiver. It will allow them to develop Hakeem Butler, even though I think he'll be active on game day. Eventually, you got to find the replacement for Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Alford certainly because of what happened with Patrick Peterson and not having him there, and then just offensive linemen because we always talk O-line. J.R. Sweezy, I know he plays interior, but certainly someone that is durable and can be active and available on Sundays. Hopefully, knock on wood, for the entire season.
Yeah, and he was a guy that they were committed to run the football. They had a 3-headed monster last year. The Seahawks led the league in rushing, and it wasn't just Russell Wilson. It was Chris Carson, Penny, Mike Davis. And so I would think that him being able to work with a mobile quarterback, that's going to go a long way when it comes to Murray because he's played in that system. A little bit different style, but at the same time, quarterback's going to hold the ball a little bit longer. Hopefully they can protect and he can get rid of the ball, make it maybe on some of those splash plays.
Appreciate the Bird Gang sounding off here on this Monday using the hashtag CardsCover2, hashtag CardsCover2. We'll get to your questions again on Wednesday later this week. Keep them coming as well. If you got something on your mind, just shoot it to us. Hashtag CardsCover2 using the number 2 to get involved in the show. We'll try to answer as many as we can throughout not only the show but the day as well.
All right, which if you had your favorite donut, what is it?
Old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned?
But it's got to be the glazed old-fashioned.
I like the chocolate glazed donut.
Okay, are you hinting at something?
No, I'm just asking what you.
All right.
No,
okay.
I mean, I could surprise you tomorrow.
All right, that'd be nice.
Go to our, favorite Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just asking. Down the road, maybe, I'll surprise you one day and bring in donuts.
All right. Well, see, now at some point you have to because we're on the record here. It's live.
Well, I frequent Dunkin' Donuts a lot, so I can get the donuts and coffee.
All right.
You don't drink coffee, though, right?
No, I never have. No.
I'll get you a tea.
Very nicely done. All right. Don't need any tea right now, though.
No.
Or any donuts either. Now I'm hungry. No, what are you doing?
Well, Kyler Murray didn't share his donuts with you, so you're bummed right now.
I gotta leave it to MJ.
Pull out your wallet and get some donuts.
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
Or next week. Or next month. All right. Let's tell you that donuts are on the way, but that's going to wrap up this edition of Cards Cover 2 here on this Monday. Special thanks to all those behind the scenes. Tim Delaney, Devin Henry, Jackson Sipes, my partner, Mike Jurecki. He'll bring the donuts. I'm Craig Grialou. We'll talk to you on Wednesday here on Cards Cover 2.